Well, hello. I thought I'd come. I'm folding clothes, if you didn't realize what I was doing. And I was listening to the news. I'm a little upset. I'm upset for what Obama said when he met with North Vietnam president. Yes, you know what? This man may say that he was impressed by our Constitution and the words of Thomas Jefferson. I don't know what he said. I wasn't there in the room with him and Obama. But I want to say something. My husband is a Vietnam vet, 100% disabled with PTSD because of this war that he went and served his country that sent him over there. Now let me tell you a little bit about Vietnam vets, being that my husband is one. They have already suffered much for just being over in Vietnam and it being not the popular thing to do back then. I don't know if any of you remember much about the history back in those days. The 60s, the 70s, you know. I don't know if you remember it all, only but maybe the Vietnam vets. They were not respected when they come back. They did not have a ticker tape parade. When those boys come back from Vietnam on leave or something, they were more than often met by people protesting against the Vietnam War. They spit upon them, they called them baby killers, and they disrespected them to the most highest point. And then our president comes along and kind of like honors the man that started the Vietnam War over there. You know, he's no longer alive, but many of our boys died over in Vietnam. And there are still, if they're even alive, still prisoners over there that they never let go. Mr. President, did you talk to him about that, getting all of our men back? I'm upset because I see my husband suffer. I see what he has to go through. And he did an honorable job, let me tell you. He did it. And you know what? He was proud of his country. He still is. But is my country proud of him? Is my president proud of him for what he did in the line of duty and service? Is my president proud of any of the soldiers that go and are in war? It just upset me that he would just, you know, say almost in an idolizing way about this leader that cost so many American lives, as well as Vietnamese lives. I'm upset. I think he owes not only my husband, but every Vietnam veteran apology. That's what I think about the situation. And if any of you guys that hear this, thank you. Thank you for serving. Thank you for even going over there, giving up your time, your life, your energy, giving up everything for your country. North Vietnam was not a good country. And they won. They won. Because we drawed out. Because our government said you can only fight. There's this line that's drawn in the jungle. And if they come over here, you can fight. But if they make it back over there, you can't do anything about it. They fought a war with their hands tied behind their back, without permission to fully engage. But what hurt me so much, after I became acquainted with my husband and knew him and knew a lot of Vietnam vets, the American people back there dishonored them so much. See, no, there's no other soldiers that's had to go through what they did when they come back, being spit on and called baby killers and stuff. My husband is an honorable man. Had to deal with a lot. And still has to, because he is a vet and he has PTSD. And, you know, few people really understand these men that has serious PTSD. They don't understand them. They just want to judge them, call them gruff, you know, kind of people. This is not just talking about the Vietnam vets. This is talking about every veteran that's even coming back from overseas now that has PTS. They will never act the same as they were before they left and went over there, people. You families that are having to deal with this knows that those men that went, and women that went overseas and fought in the Iraqi and Afghan war did not come back the same as they left. They seen things and had to do things that is not in their nature. So they deal with it all the time. See, they don't get to walk away from it. They deal with it. They deal with it at night in their nightmares. They deal with it in day. I mean, you know, if a loud noise goes off around my husband, you know, a car backfiring, 4th of July is not good, because there's sometimes people will throw firecrackers and near them, and it sets them off. Just a noise sometimes will scare them half to death, puts them back into the mindset of being back over there. They don't act the same as what we, society, think they should act like. You know, shake it off, forget it, and walk on. No, you can't. There's no shaking it off. They have to live with it day and night. And us women that's married to them live with it too. Don't think we don't. We have to walk that road with them. Sometimes it's too hard for some women, and they leave them and get a divorce. Me and my husband, being married as long as we have, will even startle some of the vets and even his psych, because usually they've been married quite a few times, because they have this different attitude that you live with. But you see, I love my husband, and I went and took some classes on how to deal with him. And has it always been easy? No. But there's one thing I know beyond reasoning, is my husband loves me, and he depends upon me, because I'm the only stable source in his life that is constant. Never turn against him, never belittle him, but walk with him and beside him. So when President Obama said the things that he said, it made me upset and mad. My husband is an honorable man. All Vietnam vets. There's some that's got into drugs and did some pretty horrible things because maybe they didn't have the backup that others had, or maybe they couldn't even deal with it, you know. But basically, all the Vietnam vets that I know, they deal with it daily, nightly. They struggle to survive in this society that will judge them severely. And don't think, if you don't have a son that's come back from Iraq or Iran, or a husband and that has PTSD, if you watch people around, they treat them a little bit different, because, see, they don't tolerate a whole lot. They're not trained that way. They don't tolerate nonsense. They just don't. They've been through a lot. They've seen a lot. So when people start getting into their face, they need to realize you're dealing with a different type of man than just the normal Joe Blow out there on the street. And if you attacked him, he will go into a defensive mode. And he will fight if he has to. I cannot believe how ignorant our president is getting day by day and by day. And he sits there smugly and the guy, and he called his name, I can't even remember, but he founded it on our Constitution and the things that Thomas Jefferson said. You know, it's easy to quote Thomas Jefferson. It's easy to even quote our Constitution of the United States if you want to study it and learn it. It's easy to quote it. But do you live by it? Ho Chi Minh did not live by it. He was a dictator. That's exactly what he was, a dictator. So, what was so honorable about him quoting the Constitution of the United States and even Thomas Jefferson saying he was a dictator? Nothing like Thomas Jefferson, and the governing of his country was nothing like our Constitution of the United States. Believe me, if it had been, the presidents back then would have supported him instead of South Vietnam. I'm just saying, Mr. President, you stepped on some more potty stuff. I don't think this can be cleaned off your shoes like you might think it can. I think you'll be hearing from a lot of Vietnam vets on this. Maybe you'll get smart enough and really apologize. But in your arrogance and your superiority thinking, just a thought come to my head. Maybe you would like to be like Ho Chi Minh, a dictator over the United States. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Because there's enough soldiers out there that ain't gonna let it happen. You ain't gonna be a dictator over America like he was over North Vietnam. Ain't gonna happen. Just saying. But I want to thank every Vietnam vet out there that served for our country. And I want to say to you very proudly, welcome home. Welcome home. And I want to say to all you other younger men that went over to Iran, Iraq, or Afghanistan, you went over there and you did what the government wanted you to do. Thank you and welcome home. Be blessed. My husband is a Vietnam vet, 100% disabled with PTSD because of this war that he went and served his country that sent him over there. Now let me tell you a little bit about Vietnam vets. Being that my husband is one. They have already suffered much for just being over in Vietnam and it being not the popular thing to do back then. I don't know if any of you remember much about the history back in those days. The 60s, the 70s, I don't know if you in the... Well, hello. I thought I'd come. I'm folding clothes. If you didn't realize what I was doing. And I was listening to the news. I'm a little upset. I'm upset for what Obama said when he met with North Vietnam. Remember it all, only but maybe the Vietnam vets. They were not respected when they come back. They did not have a ticker tape parade. When those boys come back from Vietnam on leave or something, they were more than often met by people protesting against the Vietnam War. They spit upon them. They called them president. Yes, you know what? This man may say that he was impressed by our Constitution and the words of Thomas Jefferson. I don't know what he said. I wasn't there in the room with him and Obama. But I want to say something.